Today we have special guest Elzbieta. We've met a few years ago through my friend Phoenix at a metaphysical store.
Yes.
And I'm so excited for this podcast because I thought I knew a lot about Elzbieta, but I don't think I know as much as I thought I did.
Mystery.
Yes. I thought her gifts just opened one day and you just started receiving. And what happened? Tell us the story.
So the story is, I'm in Europe. I enter art school. My parents decided to take me and my sister for a lesson of horseback riding. And off we went. And this is where my real life began. My sister was way more brave than me, so she got a horse and she just took off. And for her that was second time. For me it was first time. The park ranger who have the horses give me a horse which he makes sure that I understand this is more like a cow than a horse. You have to push it in order for it to move.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, so I'm safe.
Yeah.
So I thought. So I'm Polish. In Poland, we don't have really parks like in United States. The parks are more wild parks. There's no paths, nothing like that. And I try to make whatever I see on the movies. Yeah, like you kind of lift your torso and you're riding. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure it out, how to make that horse go. The horse started going faster and I lose the grip of my feet being in that metal part. I'm not sure what's the name for it in English. And I start panicking a little bit. And then something grabbed my attention on the corner of my eye. A white dove raised straight up to the heaven and not to the heaven, like straight up, yeah?
Yeah.
And just let me point it that we don't have white doves, and no matter, even if we did have, no bird goes straight up. They're not helicopters. They need to go on the angles. That was quite mysterious. The horse just go nuts. It start galloping.
Yeah.
And the fear that I was experiencing was quite severe, and something get my attention to look straight up. Was like a voice inside of me, like look up, kind of to get ready what's coming. Not that I could prevent it in any shape and form. And all I saw was a branch of tree on my forehead level. And of course I pound with my forehead on it, went down. And this is where, of course, my feet being out of the saddle was a fortunate thing. Because the horse didn't drag me, I just get knocked down. The next thing I see is a horseshoe coming right at my face with anything that was on the ground, which was sand and pine needles. And the next consciousness I have is me being in an ambulance. But when I asked my mom, because my parents were there with us, I said, how did you even find me? And they say, well, they decided to just walk in the same direction with the park rangers, and the next thing they know is see me walking towards them with my face covered with my hands, blood everywhere, and then they ran for the car. They took me to the local place, which was just like a student on a duty, and he saved my vision, which sometimes I pray for him. So he put a particular stuff into the IV that allowed my blood not to enter the entire eye, because if it will blind me permanently. Wow. Both my eyes. Mm-hmm. And eventually I end up in a middle hospital and then big hospital. Once I was in a big hospital, this is where my awakening started. I actually want to add something else. So when I was on the table, I have to say that I was present to it, and I was in and out of my body. I could see all the machines that were next to my body. I could look at them up close and understand what they're showing. I never seen those machines before. I could look at the doctors and I could understand and hear what they're saying to each other. And I could also hear what each of them individually is thinking to themselves.
Wow.
And I believe that everybody is going through that. Mm-hmm. I believe that we all have the capability. So a lot of people, if you think they're not conscious, you think they may be in coma, they can hear you. So now what happened next is I hear this voice, are you ready? I know exactly what that means. Yes, I'm ready. But I do not know where I'm going, and I am a very curious person. So I'm like, ready for what? And the voice said again, are you ready? Ready for what? Are you ready? Ready for what? And instantly when I ask the third time, I end up in cosmos. And as bizarre as that sound, back then I didn't have any idea how cosmos looked like. I never had the interest of cosmos. I love to stare into the skies, but it's not like I ever opened book and I was like, oh my God, how does Milky Way look like? No, I never done that. I travel I realized that I'm in a shape of blue sphere, about that size. I also noticed that my size, I was always ending up in spheres. The spheres change color and size. So I'm about that size in a sphere, traveling towards something, and then I see almost like a platform, and on the platform is standing a being with hands and head and legs. And the being said, you have questions? And I said, yes, where am I going? And it turned, and now we both kind of moving into the space. I'm still in a sphere. It get me to a particular place, and it says, this is how far I can get you, because I guess I didn't really transition yet. This is how far I can get you. Do you see this cluster of stars? I was like, yes, this is where you're going. And I said, well, is there life? Yes, it is. How is it? It's just like on Earth. Well, I like that. I was like, so will I have my Earth body? No, you're not. You're gonna be in the size of sphere. So I said, so now I'm starting like, so how do they make buildings? And the guide said, this is too much questions. We get back to the point where we met, and the guide, and I start still inquiring, and I said, so what is Earth? Is this like a school? Now, I am in school. I'm a teenager. I'm in school. So obviously, I'm looking from the glasses of everything is school. You have to be a good student. You have to be a good daughter. You have, like teenager perspective. The guide, so I asked if I learned so is it school? And it says, well, kind of like a school. I said, so did I learn my lesson? And I'm an A+ student. So I know I learned my lesson, but I just ask in case. So did I learn my lesson? The guy said no. I was like, oh gosh, what is the lesson? Like, I know I have good grades. I know I'm a good daughter. Like, what is the lesson? So I said, not even a little bit? No. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, what is the lesson? And it says faith. I was like, faith? Of course, this is where it hit me that I am so living in a third dimension. I'm forgetting about the spirituality completely. So obviously faith. Decades later, I realized that it wasn't necessarily faith as we understand faith in maybe a God or religion. It was more faith in me. Faith in me that I am not what you see in a mirror, but me as a divine being having human experience. I've seen some masters. I ask other questions, and I actually have seen Jesus. So not Jesus himself, like I see you right now, but more like almost like a screen and like a movie play. There was a Jesus talking to one of his apostles and saying, if you will have as much faith as a mustard seed, you could move mountains. So that was the message delivered, that faith is what I need, or what I choose as a lesson. So now we're getting to the end of this whole experience. The guide is now asking me if I made my decision. Now I'm key on that lesson. So do I have to go back and learn the lesson? And it says no. So basically the conversation went, I may return and do the lesson. I may never do the lesson. I may return and never do the lesson in this life or any other life. I may do it in future life on different plane, and plane I mean like planet.
Yeah.
Like there is the choice that you have.
Yeah.
You may change your lesson. You may choose different. You may go back, but choose different lesson. So what I choose is I choose to live. I'm like, life on Earth was very not interested. I was like, okay, there's like, if there's an exit, I'm taking it.
Okay.
And I go back immediately to my body, And the thing I start feeling, I finally have a physical sensation. And the sensation is coldness, like a freezing coldness going through my face, going through my neck, going through my torso, all the way to the heart chakra. And when it moves very fast, and it's almost like a freezing, like you are in a freezer, but it's like inside of you. And I get a little panic, and I was like, what is going on? What is going on? Because I didn't feel the pain until now. And now I'm feeling freezing coldness. And the voice kind of guide me to look at my feet, and my feet are like that. And from the bottom of my feet, there's energy escaping and start creating itself in a ball of gold ball, again ball, about that size, like a little smaller than a golf ball. It looked actually beautiful, and this was my soul leaving my body. So
you decided to leave. So you decided to just be like, I don't want to do this human thing anymore?
Yeah, not interesting to be human.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood.
Yeah.
So what's next?
So what's next is
You're still here, right?
I'm still, yes. I circulated around my body once. My attachment to the physical body that was in front of me was zero. This was shocking to me because the attachment was literally like, if I will find in my kitchen right now a shopping bag from grocery store that is 1 year old, that was the same relation. Like, okay, it's like whatever. Whatever, do with it whatever you want. I don't care. So the voice asked me, are you ready? I'm like, yes, I'm ready. It moved me to my feet, I believe. My energy started moving to the corner of the room, but I don't even know if that was the actual hospital room or was it like some other kind of, hard to say. The closer I was getting, then that opening started becoming more gold and bigger. And a lot of people, when they're dying, they say, I've seen the light, I went, this is the God. That's not the God. God is there, but we're very far away from the God. And then when I was in the middle of the distance, the voice asked me again, are you ready? I said yes, and now we like switching gears. Now we like really speeding up. And as I'm going towards that, and I'm at peace, I am present to something that is happening in a hallway. And in a hallway, there's a being. I can feel broken heart, and an energy out of that heart start forming and then shooting like a gold light of sun and chasing me. And it touched me. And in a moment when it touched me, I could see that this energy belongs to, well, I don't have any more emotional attachments, but it's someone who I used to call my mother. I have a flash of how her life will unveil. She will never recover from it. She will go instantly to extreme depression. She will prematurely die because of the depression. The life of the entire family will be affected. This is the time when I realize, because you're going towards God, so you're going towards love, so you're operating only now on love frequency. And the only thing I could think is like, yeah, I don't feel any relationship to that person anymore, but I cannot harm any being to that point. And I said no, but nothing happened. I'm still speeding up. So I said second time no, still going towards the opening. And I said no for the third time, and instantly I went back to my body. And the pain of coming back to my body, there is no description to verbalize that pain. Literally, it felt like 1,000 horses is pulling me in opposite directions. I don't know what happened, but what I'm speculating is that the life force entered every single of my cells at once, so they have to burst. And I went into coma, and I was in a coma for a couple of days. The most funny part of the story is that I got my consciousness. I still have bandages on my eyes. I can hear angels. I can hear hymns of some sort. Cannot see much. So I decided that I must be in heaven. That's all I can make up, because I can hear these angels singing. And then like a few seconds later, I realized how bad that singing is. It's completely out of tune, not that I have any ear. I was like, oh my goodness. this is really poor singing. Later on, it turned out that my mom, being a Catholic, she paid the hospital to put me right next to chapel in the hospital, and this was just basically a bunch of older people and whoever, patients who gather on a Sunday mass, and they were singing.
Wow.
So I guess angels have good tune. It's just I didn't hear the angels. I think the part that I forgot to say is that once I was out of body with that guide, the amazing thing is that the only thing I could feel was love. I was surrounded by love. I was inside of the love. And the word love is the closest that we will have in our vocabulary to describe it, but it's something like that, but times millions and millions more intense, more powerful, more pure. Also, as far as knowledge, once I was in the size of the blue sphere traveling, I have any knowledge, whatever will get my attention, I have instant answer to it. So if you want some kind of mathematical equation, or you want some kind of, whatever you will want, you have the access to it. I didn't ask for anything because everything I knew. Now I wish, that I could go back there and be like, okay, I need answers to all these questions, please. Yeah, so that's basically how.
Have you ever told your family that story?
Well, so let's talk about that. So this is in 80s, so quite a long time ago, in Poland. Very hardcore Catholic country back then. 80s are not that far after the World War II. So yeah, everything is changing, but we still are in Cold War with Russia. Mm-hmm. So everything is kind of, it's not like whatever, we're experiencing San Diego, California in 2020s. That's not how life looked like. Oh my God, it's unreal how different life was back then. Mm-hmm. So yes, I said pieces of it. I believe that the most important to share is that you have your physical body, just like you have your car. Mm-hmm. You are not the car, you're the driver. So you have your physical body, but you are not your physical body. So that is the message I was trying to say to everyone. The second message that I was trying to tell everyone is like, the actual act of dying is peaceful. You're taking care of your nurture. You don't feel pain. I don't know what your body goes through. It doesn't matter. You do not feel pain. Your body may have spasms and maybe, broken and whatever. You have no pain. And I'm saying that because I believe we are all the same. So it may look different, but we're really going through the same process, I believe. And so yes, I shared the two informations. The second one was okay. The first one was so rejected. I was over and over invited to hush, seeing some psychologist or whatever. No one needs to know. And I decided that I'm just gonna shut up and not talk about that.
Okay. Yeah.
It was very much against the entire culture.
But now here you are, able to talk about it.
Yes. So I basically throw myself into regular life.
Yeah.
I built for myself 2 careers quite successfully. They were somewhat little bit related, but not that much. Before all of that, I graduated from the art school with honors, moved to United States with the idea of pursuing art. And I did in California. Then I moved to New York, and my whole art collapsed on its face. And I just became, normal person, doing 9 to 5 and struggling immigrant and doing my best to learn English, doing my best to survive on my own without family really, because they all stayed in Europe. That was my regular life. And then I have what you call a second awakening, or I will call second awakening. So now we are in 2012. And in 2012, I'm working with clients, and I'm booked 9 clients a day. And every client I see, let me say something else, just so we can understand how in amazing way energy works and your guides work. And and stuff like that. So I'm going through this dark moment where nothing works. I'm frustrated. I know I'm in the wrong place, but I don't know where I'm supposed to be. And I feel literally, this is the third day, I feel like I'm going through a tunnel that is completely dark, and the walls are like, you know, like nasty, and water is dripping, and I see no light, and it's just like, I'm lost, and I'm like, oh my God, is this end of my life? Like, what is happening? And one of my clients who comes in is a lady who is a lawyer, and she said, she never talked to me. She said, this is the only hour I have for myself in a week. I just want to get a facial, and like, please don't talk. So I always respect that. And from the lady usually will fall asleep, and what I do for her is a face massage. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of the massage, she's saying with full voice, no whispers or anything, nothing subtle. She says, if you're looking for light, you have to look inside of your heart. I was like, whoa, that's powerful.
Yeah.
I didn't know that lady have information like that.
Yeah.
And after the session, she said goodbye, and I was like, well, by the way, thank you for the message. And she's like, what message? I said, well, you did give me a message. You did say something to me when we have the session. She said, no, I didn't. I was sleeping. I was like, oh my God. So that's how your guides can talk to you.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So now 3 days in a row, all 9 of my clients will say, oh my God, I came with headache, and you touched my head, and instantly the headache was gone. Someone else will come in and say, are you a healer? Because I can feel the energy from your hands. The next person will come in and say, you know, I'm a healer, and I know you are a healer. And this was going on for 3 days, although towards the end, like 5 p.m. on the third day, I was like, I started laughing. I was like, God, is that a message right in my face? Like, I think you're trying to communicate something. I said, okay, I'm gonna step into the role of being a healer. I just didn't know how, because in the wildest dreams, I never thought I'm gonna be on that side of the road. I always was like, oh my God, I'm curious how you're doing that, you know, can I read more about this? And I was mesmerized by all of it, so took endless amount of classes, but I never thought that I'm going to be the one who just wave hands on you and you'll be like, oh, now I feel great. So that was my second awakening.
So you were called to the work?
Yes.
And you were doing facials?
I was doing facials,
okay.
Yeah. So, and this was in 2012. What I decided to do is, right back then, I finished training on access bars. Access bars are pressure points on your head, and when you position hands on the head, the lines between the fingers and lines between those fingers pull energy out of your brain, and almost like a vacuum cleaner, and it cleans all negative belief systems. Or like you can imagine also, like you have a delete button on your computer and you're just deleting all the unwanted, unneeded files. The process is about 1 hour. You can come with intention. You don't have to, the practitioner have to go through all 32 points, and every point is cleaned individually. At least I do it individually. So I will wait for the energy to escape from my hands, through the torso up, and then I will also say a mantra, if you will, to clean every single of the points.
And that's a service you currently offer?
This is one of the services that I offer. I offer a lot of services.
Yeah, what do you offer? What's everything you offer?
So this one is very potent. Let me finish about that one. Sure. Access bars will help with anxiety. Access bars will help with insomnia. It will help with, you know, when you're trying to learn and you cannot focus and you cannot retain the information. Yeah. It helps with that. It helps dramatically with ADHD. And besides that, it helps with, again, the belief systems. So you believe you're not good enough, you do a few of those sessions, and yeah, that belief is gone. Yeah, so I'm offering that. I'm offering cutting cords, but there is a huge but. Like, I will interview the living light out of you before I actually perform that, because as effective as it is, I want to make sure that you're not in the middle of your live lesson with someone and then you cut the cords and what is happening. Now, yeah, you're fine for a few years or maybe to the end of this particular life, but then next lifetime you may repeat from beginning, and sometimes you're repeating the whole life, sometimes you're repeating few lifetimes. So yeah, I think what I am very comfortable of doing is cutting the cords between you and, for example, your childhood trauma. Cutting the cords between you and your belief systems. I can do that. I will still interview you to make sure I'm not harming you.
Yeah.
But I'm open to that. I'm open to cut cords with people when someone will come in and say, hey, I'm going through divorce. We're fighting for money. And the husband is threatening to kill me. And I'm believing he's serious. I will cut that cord. But if someone comes in and say, oh my God, we broke up and he was like, he cheated on me or this or that, I'm like, no, I'm not touching this. You have to work through that. Another thing that I'm offering is there is a very powerful tool that I invented where you're standing in your power, and we will have a session, we will decide what's important for you. And then I'm creating for you, and I was tempted to bring it today, but I didn't. I'm creating for you a template, physical template, and you're standing physically in it in the morning, and you're charging your energy. It is very powerful, it keeps you focused. Few things are happening because we're working with energetically, we're working with your psychology, we're working with you. Like, what's your goal, what's your life plan, what's your goal on earth? And then I'm actually painting this for you, which is more like a kind of drawing than actual. It doesn't look like a painting that you put on a wall. It looks more like a tool, but it's painted by hand. Another thing that I'm offering, well, the biggest one, is talking to guides.
Yeah.
So with talking to guides, I think it came easy to me only because I physically talk to them, so I believe in them since the accident.
Yeah.
When I was doing bars, I have the awareness of how small and how limited I am as a human being. I also have awareness from the accident how easy it is to take you off your path or damage you by trying to help you. So what I was doing is, when I have a client on the table, I put my hands on you so you immediately feel comfortable, because especially when you put on the back of your head, it feels so comfortable. So you're relaxing, but I'm not working yet. I will call your guides, I will introduce myself, state my intention, and then ask for permission. And I will not move a teeny bitty energy in your body or in your magnetic field until I hear clear yes. And I did hear yes, always with exception of one, to which I apologize, and we did something else. So originally I hear yes, I did expect to hear yes or no, so when I hear it first time, I was fine. And that was telepathic, but very clear. And eventually I start being very aware where the guides are. And over time, a couple months, I start seeing their feet. I was like, oh yeah, their feet. Then I start seeing legs. Then I start seeing feet, legs, and hips. Then I start seeing torsos. Then I start seeing heads. The most difficult for me is to see the eyes. But I think I know why, because eyes are like vortexes. If you will be alien or if you will be guide, spiritual guide, I can look through to your eyes and I can it can take me. I can go to completely different dimensions. So I think that's why eyes are the last thing, and most of the time I see the face, but I don't see the actual eye.
So now you can literally see guides, like in this room you could see a guide?
So I cannot see them now. What I need to do is I need to switch thing in my brain, kind of relax, and then we're gonna get to it in a moment. However, I did do introduction classes And on one occasion, on the introduction class, 2 people out of the class have contact with me before, as far as session goes. The rest of the people didn't. I don't remember right now. It was a small group, maybe 5, 7 people. Everyone on that session was able to see each other guides. They were able to see their guides. And then somehow, miraculously, we have Arcturians, like in a half circle surrounding us.
Yeah.
They were able to see the Arcturians.
Yeah.
And there was 4 taller beings behind it. I don't know if people saw those ones or not, but they did see the Arcturians, and this was pretty amazing experience. I'll be honest, I do not know how we get to it.
Yeah.
We did more sessions in that particular location after that, but I never have again like the whole group being able to see it, everybody. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Everyone probably has to be really open to the experience.
Probably. Yeah.
And in that belief too.
Yeah.
What are your experiences with aliens?
Oh, I love aliens. Absolutely love aliens.
Do you have a favorite species?
No, they all amazing. So I want to say that I think we as a species, as a human species, are afraid of aliens.
Yeah.
Because we are the dominating creature on this planet.
Yeah.
What we think, that's what we think.
Yeah.
But maybe the most dominating from the creatures that we see. Because their rooms, like this room for sure, have right now other creatures. We cannot see them unless we tune in.
When you say creatures, you're not just talking about like ants and rats.
No, I'm
you're
talking aliens.
about energetic.
Aliens, star people. I call them star people. Yeah.
So like in every space.
They're everywhere.
Okay.
They're absolutely
We just can't
everywhere.
see them.
We cannot see them. Do you want to talk about that now?
Yeah, let's
are
just
like,
talk
yeah,
about it.
okay.
Because I'm really
So-
curious.
Yes. So this is how it works. When you have a radio, especially like the ones your parents' radios, where you have the knob.
Yeah.
That radio is open to perceive all the different frequencies that have all the different stations. There is the sport, there is, someone is reading a book, there is whatever, a news, you have in different languages, you have different music channels. I mean, all of them are there in that one radio. That radio is our Earth. The same way like the radio can combine all the frequencies and it have all access to all those stations, Earth is combining different frequencies and have access to all these beings. But when you are at the radio, you're gonna decide that you wanna listen to a news, and you're gonna move the knob until you find the news that you want, or music, and you find the station you want. And now all you can do is to hear that station. You cannot hear this other, 50 stations. The same over here. You decided to be on Earth, you decided to be human. All you are tuned in is to humans.
Yeah.
You tune in also maybe to the birds and to the, cats, dogs, whatever. But that doesn't mean that the rest doesn't exist over here. Okay, let's talk about what we are able and not able to see or hear. Mm-hmm. So on a spectrum of what is possible in visible, on this whole scale, humans can see less than 1%. On the same scale, as far as hearing goes, the same. Human can hear less than 1%. Your dog, a bird, a cat can see and hear more than we. We quite primitive as far as those faculties go. So now let's talk about star people. Let's call them star people. So star people, we don't see them for 2 reasons. First of all, our vision cannot perceive them because we cannot stretch our vision to that point to see something that is invisible. But okay, so let's say bones. Can I see your bones? No. But if I take an X-ray, can I see your bones? Yes, I can. So
Yeah.
I have a proof you have it. It works the same way. We just don't have that access, the spectrum access. Star people also being significantly more advanced, most of them, they able to thin their body. So the physical body of human is extremely dense. The star people body is not that dense. I think that the closest we ever were as a species to the star people was when we were in our Lemurian bodies, because the Lemurian body it's been said that it didn't even walk, it flowed, and it was almost translucent.
Are star people a species?
Aliens.
Okay,
I
star
just call them
people and aliens. Are
yeah.
the same.
Instead of aliens, I call them star people.
Yeah.
They just from different stars. I am very connected to Atlantis, and Atlantis goes to Egypt. So I'm connected to Egypt and to Africa, and all this area spiritually. I have a memory of being in Atlantis. I have a memory of healing people, and how instant was that healing. Incredible. I wish we have that knowledge now. And the healing was with energy, the healing was with sound. And I know that my role back then was also to communicate with gods with small g, which means Anunnaki. Anunnaki means, and I want to point this because there's a big misconception. Anunnaki are not good or bad. Anunnaki, it is a sentence describing people from the stars. If you look at Palladians, they are Anunnaki, and you're looking at Arcturians, they are Anunnaki. Dracorians are Anunnaki. There is a lot of reports of, for example, in Mount Shasta, where you're going just to, hike, and then you're looking and you see beings, and they almost transparent, and they're there, and they communicate telepathically with you, and you have the experience. You can see them, and they are from higher dimensions.
Yeah. When in your readings, your spirit guide readings, do you ever connect to aliens? Or is it usually just specific? Okay.
Oh yeah, let's talk about it. So, so there are different type of readings. People will say, for example, they're gonna go and see medium. So who is medium? Medium is someone who can channel the loved one that transition. Your loved one that transition. I don't do that at all. So that will be conversation between you and someone who is more or less vibrating on soul-wise, is on more or less the same level that you are. Then you have a people who do channeling. I'm closer to that group. So channelers very often will connect with either one being, or they will connect with their version that is in the future, like a Bashar, who is amazing channel. What they do is they going into like a one radio station. I tune into Bashar, I tune into Abraham, and I channel that frequency. What I do is, you come to me, I have to tune in, and then I channel your guides. So let's talk who your guides are. When you're born with entire entourage. How many guides do you think you have? Go wild.
I don't know, because they're always changing. And
They are.
I've talked to so many different people who've read my guides, and like dragons and trees and angels.
Well, if you have someone reading you trees, then you must have fairies, because that's the same family.
Yeah, there's just so many guides, right? What would the answer? What's like
Thousands.
Right.
Tens of thousands.
We can tap into any guide, right?
Your guide. So they are your guides.
Yeah.
What is happening, and why someone will tap to trees and the next person will tap to some other group, is wherever you go through in your life, you have a group that is assisting you in that particular stage of your life. So once you finish that, you accomplish, now is different group working with you. Or maybe there is, a group responsible for your family life and group responsible for your life purpose on Earth. Completely different groups of guides. But you accumulate them. So I'm gonna go a little bit wild over here. You're born on Earth, and let's say this is your first lifetime on Earth. So you're bringing all your guides that you accumulated for millions of years as you reincarnated on different planes, different dimensions, different planets. And this is your first time on Earth. Great. Now you're getting a whole entourage of guides helping you on Earth. So you learn how to breathe, how to see, how to hear, how to operate over here. You have your parents. Those are your earthy guides in a way.
Yeah.
But you're getting a whole entourage of invisible guides. And if I could say something of, getting your parents and being on Earth and stuff like that, when you are born, you still are in connection with some of your guides. So it's so precious that when there is a child and he's saying, hey, I have invisible friends, oh my God, please honor that, because this is like the most precious connection. And if there's a way to get a name of that guide and written down, because that child will forget that name in the age of 7, when the brain switches. So when you have that name, and let's say you start working with your guides and you're 25 now, and you can look in a notebook and retrieve that name, you can immediately go to a meditation and be like, okay, I'm calling such and such, I need a connection right now. And you don't need to search, you just you have the dialogue open immediately.
Yeah. I have this, I don't want to call it an issue, but it happens so much when I'm about to go into meditation and I always have this question, which guide do I call on? Because now I feel like I have access to so many guides. What's the answer?
What do you want to work on? Why would you call a guide to begin with? You're doing meditation and you're calling a guide because
I want guidance and help.
Okay, perfect.
Assistance.
Perfect. So so you will look at what part of your life you need assistance and guidance in.
Okay.
So let's say you're buying a new car, and you cannot decide what car will be best for you.
Yeah.
So you're calling your guides responsible for helping you, and now pick what area is going to be affected. Finances, guides responsible for your health because you want to be protected and safe in the car. Guides responsible, are you going to use the car for business? Guides responsible for your business. Guides responsible for your, I don't know, whatever else falls into the car, and look broad.
Okay.
Yeah? You buying a new home. The same thing.
Okay.
You are in relationships.
So I don't need a name of the guy.
No
I just
name.
say, hey, I would like to feel more love in my heart.
Perfect that you brought this up, because there is no names.
Okay.
So when you have a child having an invisible friend, the child have a name, but that name, the child give that name to the guide.
Okay.
Or the guide just went out of its way and telepathically communicate, like the child likes Uncle, I don't know, Teddy. So or you have a teddy bear. So the guide says, call me Teddy, and I know you're calling me. Who are your guides? Let's talk about that. Your guides can be aliens, which is the star people. Your guides could be divine wisdom. So they are above them. They're so high in vibration that they cannot have a physical body. So we are on the bottom of it. There is really nothing more dense than we are. Well, as far as beings with 2 legs, torso, 2 hands, and a head. If you look at anything else, a rock there is a consciousness in a rock, but the rock is not like us. It cannot move on its own. So very dense are humans. Above them will be the star people. And there will be, of course, levels in that. And then you have spheres. So the consciousness is dense, but only a little bit. All it can create is a sphere. And then you will have just consciousness, just thought. This is what I discover. Now, will there be a people who will say, no, that's not how it looks like? Maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it. This is my experience. This is what I found. This is what I can see and perceive. Your guides could be alienish, the star people. Your guides could be the spheres. And a lot of times they all will show up. once they coming as a star people, they can be so dense that I almost feel like I can catch their hand. And sometimes they just look like a little mist. And all I see is just a silhouette and particular color. All the communications that I am perceiving are telepathic. And telepathy is actually very easy to learn. So soon, I think like in next 20 years, I think we're all gonna be at least the people who are more towards looking inside of themselves, I don't want to use the word spiritual because that's maybe misused word actually in this time, which is okay. We're misusing a lot of words because we don't have a vocabulary for whatever we're experiencing. So there is this big awakening. There is this, the veils becoming so thin between dimensions that we can see so much more. And how many of us, like, oh my goodness, if you look 25 years ago, and, okay, so in 80s, I could not say that I have that experience because I was considered like maybe a little bit, not there. 25 years ago, people maybe start talking about it a little bit. Right now, a lot of people talks about it. And right now we can start seeing, I mean, you have so many clairvoyant people. The psychics are like coming up left and right. And people who do yoga, which is with the intention of opening up you spiritually, will bring you awakening. It will open your third eye. It will bring you to spirituality in a beautiful way. So how many people do yoga? We all do yoga. Well, I don't do, but other than that, everybody else is doing yoga.
Yeah, I remember I did a group reading with you, and I had this one guide. You called him a blob. I think you said blob. He was like a red.
Probably just like
a sphere,
no
a red
form.
sphere for grounding.
Yeah.
That was a cool experience. You also mentioned me on a platform like YouTube and how I was going to be speaking and talking more, which is really cool because like that is what I'm doing now.
Did you believe me back then?
I did, yeah.
Oh,
I felt it, yeah. I was like, yes, this is exciting.
When I do readings, especially one-on-one, I have to relax my body. I do that through breath. I move energy through breath. So like it's kind of strange because like you can hear me breathing so heavy a couple times. And then I literally feel pressure in my head, almost like a switch. I am present in understanding if there will be earthquake, I can stand up and leave the room. I am not present in a sense that I can start analyzing it or speaking. Like I hear what I'm saying, but I don't have much control over it. So when I call your guides, they will show up usually in front of me, and I like to work with my clients when they're laying down, because some people will fall asleep. Some people are so focused on what I'm saying that I want to make sure you're safe. Safety comes first.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to, start falling off your chair or whatever. And usually the guides will stand in front of the feet. If I have a very high energy guides like consuls or the spheres, or the one that have no body at all, then I have to get out of my physical body and literally raise up and meet them somewhere there in a halfway. So my brain is processing the mouth and I'm talking, but I'm not in the room really. There are guides that, if they just regular star people, they're very easy to work with because they will just come in and I can see them and they just, they can almost stand on the floor and we can just like telepathically communicate. That area. I love the guides. You ask me if there is a group that I have a favorite group. I don't have a favorite group. They all amazing. The wisdom that comes out of them and their commitment to you being successful on your path is incredible. But when I say commitment and successful, and we have this phrase in your, oh my God, I want to talk about that phrase, in your highest good. We all think when you say, oh, I wanted the best in my highest good, we all think that that means the happiness and everything goes in a positive way, and this is the most misleading thing. Because when you are reincarnated on Earth, you either are light worker and you're coming to work and you are special forces, and do not take that for granted and don't mistake it. It's not your 9 to 5. You are freaking a sniper. You're highly trained and you came to battle.
Yeah.
Or you are a person, so it's you're either human in that form, which is all the light workers, or the star seeds. So light workers are people who are coming from different dimensions and they coming to help. They maybe were before humans, reincarnated as humans. They are on higher vibration, and you will see them as the leading people in our society on a spiritual area, like Esther Hicks, yeah. So we have this platter of people. Yes, they're coming to help. Then you have regular people. So who are regular people? Not to take from their power. Regular people I will call the soul that is bonded to the earth and is keep reincarnating on earth. So let's talk about Esther Hicks. When she dies, she most likely is not gonna reincarnate on Earth unless she's like, oh my God, it needs more of my help. Please assign me again. I'm choosing Earth again. She may have the choice. There's another group of people who don't have the choice. They have to be reincarnated on Earth until they raise their spiritual vibration up and learn their lessons, whatever lessons they choose, because they have a free will. And then they like in school. You are in elementary school until you learn this curriculum. You learn, and now you have the option to go to next level. You learn the next level, now you have the option to go to next level.
What if some of your lessons, your life lessons, I know you mentioned faith, but what's other things that you've
I'm still working on the faith, by the way. It's not like knowing it helps anything. Oh my God.
Do you know all your life lessons, or does it kind of just unfold?
No, so I don't, but they unfold.
Yeah.
First of all, you complete one. Oh, okay, now we can start another subject, another lesson.
Yeah.
You know what your lessons is because this is where your life is not working out. You are in a relationship. You love your partner. But there's a lot of domestic abuse. Either physical or mental or emotional or all of it or whatever is it. That's your lesson. What is the lesson? Stand up on your feet. Stand up. So how did we get to that lesson? Maybe you fall off your truck in one of the lifetimes, and then, decades later, you have another lifetime and you fall again. And now you're like, okay, wait a minute. This is my weak spot. I need to work on it. Or could be also, I want to experience what that is because I want to so another scenario will be, in next lifetime, I want to awaken as a someone, or reincarnate rather, as a someone who is helping the abused ones. And who is the abused one? Is a victim, to help the victim. All right, good. So the best is to know what that person goes through, yeah? So I'm going to reincarnate and have that experience so I can resonate with it. So you're looking into your cluster of souls, which is your true family. We didn't even talk about that. We could talk for 3
about
days.
it right now.
So keep it.
The cluster.
Okay, so cluster of family. I've seen, doing ayahuasca, I've seen my family.
Okay.
This is how it looked like. There was a soul in somewhat human form. I think that was more for my comfort. Human form meaning a head, torso, legs and hands. And that particular being have a beautiful cloth of some kind of fabric. Everything was like in this kind of shape. And then it was a female dominating energy, not that there is gender over there. And then in front of that being, there was almost like a leaf, a tray. It looks like life, so leaf, like from a tree, was gigantic, the same shape. It was really big. And then on that leaf, there was a seed of drops of water. In every drop of water, and they were next to each other, they were not on top of each other, they were like distributed evenly. And there were hundreds of them. In each leaf, in each of the droplets, there was like a tiny mini version of that being, the same colors, the same shapes. And my understanding was that I am one of the droplets, and we all are individual, but we are all the same. So I will perceive this as this was my family, my soul family. So when you have a life experience, it doesn't matter where it is, and yes, we are reincarnated, some of us are reincarnating on different planets. You interacting with that group have an experience of whatever that big being decides. The size of it was incredible. Take a basketball player and put a drop of water at their feet. That was the proportion. It was insane. So that's how your group looks like. And now when you want to have a particular experience, you will say, hey, I will play the victim. I will like to see how it is to be abused. Who's going to help me? And someone else says, okay, well, I will help you. I will abuse you. What I need to learn is whatever. Can you teach me that? Yes. So now we have an agreement, and now we are reincarnating into life. And, this is where it's sitting in a bus and someone sits next to you, or in an airplane, someone sits next to you, and you're like, oh my God, love out of first sight.
It's so fascinating because it seems so complicated. And
it's not, it's so simple.
It's all of the experiences, if you think about every single human that's ever lived, and then there's aliens and just all of these different experiences. Okay, so let's go back right here.
So first of all, there's a lot of recycling happening. Okay. If you bonded to Earth, you lived millions of times on Earth. It's not that you have this billions and billions and billions, trillions of people. Mm-hmm. The life happened trillion time, whatever number.
Yeah.
But it's the same group of souls being reincarnated. And we're not going to go to quantum physics and talk about that at the same time we have year 2023 and a year,
because
5,000 whatever, and cave time and whatever. We're not going to go there because we will never finish.
We will not go there. But how about we're just thinking about my life, my time frame.
You mean this ego, this physical body? Yes.
If I do something right now, can that affect my childhood?
Well, depending what you're doing, if we cut cords with your childhood trauma, it will easen it up, that childhood trauma, backwards.
And it affects me when I was 7.
Yeah, it will affect you when you were 7.
It is one of those
There's very few people you can talk about that with, because it's such a foreign concept, because we are still very deeply believing, number one, that there is time, which there is no time, and number two, that the time is linear. It's not.
That's my favorite thing to think about, that time being linear, but time not being linear. To think about that, and I don't think about it too much because I can just go down a rabbit hole, but
quantum physics. Start looking there. There's a lot of answers.
I love it. I'm such an intellectual person, and I love studying and learning, so it's
fascinating.
Yeah.
The veil is opening, but each of us who are looking at the veil is on different level of consciousness. So we see different things. Because we can perceive only on our vibration. We gathering information from what we see, but the information is different to each of us because we see different things. And I love this exercise, oh my God. So I will say to people, can you describe that? Okay, what do you see?
A place where you can write a message to save it for later.
What color?
It's white, mustard, black.
Yeah. And I will look at it and I will say, that is absolutely not true. It is solid, it's navy. It have a black apple, it have a camera. So I think that you're lying to me. I don't think you're saying the truth. But you can say exactly the same to me.
Yeah. That's not what I see. And
That's
we're
not
looking
what
at
you
the same
see,
thing.
and it's not, I'm not saying the truth. We both saying the truth. We both looking at the same thing. Are we not seeing the same thing? We're seeing two different things. And this is how the reality is right now. We all are looking, we all are seeing the same thing, but we're seeing it differently. And this is so confusing, especially for people who are getting awakened right now. And another thing that is happening is that time is spitting out. Changes are happening so quickly. Changes that in past will take decades, now takes weeks. We're shifting, we're opening, we can see the veils are moving, we can see more and more and more. And if you just getting awakened right now, first of all, that's awesome, but I cannot comprehend how confusing that time is for you. Not for you, for sake, but whoever is listening to us.
Yeah.
I will say another thing that I do is spiritual life coaching. And if you awaken and you're awakening and you're looking at it and you hear buzzing in your ears and you see things that are moving but they're not there, and you're hearing voices in your head, those are all symptoms of awakening. You should get yourself contact with a spiritual teacher. Ask them how they can, if they're willing to help you, how they can help you, and get help, because we may have a disorder, mental disorder, obviously, but a lot of this stuff is labeled mental disorder, but it's not. We just are in a transition for which most of the population on Earth right now is not ready for. So we're labeling people and putting pills in them, but they not necessarily need the pills. They may need calming meditation, calming sound. They may need yoga. They need to look inside of them instead of taking pills. Mm-hmm. This client she came with an agenda. So a friend of mine who is an acupuncture doctor, trying to help her, they couldn't get anywhere. And she said, you have to see Elzbieta. And this lady is calling me, and I'm not feeling it. So usually I will interview people before the session, and it's not happening. Finally I said, what is that you need from me? Because I'm picking up that I'm not the one who needs to help you. And you're desperately reaching out. And she said, well, I cannot get pregnant for several years. And I don't dream about anything else more than having baby, and I can't. I said, I'm not your person. Definitely not. And she kept calling and persistently. I think she had me in her notebook, on the alarm, okay, this is the, the 10th of the month, call Elizabeth, ask her for session. And finally, she said, you know what? Please do the session. I will pay you for it. I have no expectations. If it doesn't work, I will just put me on your schedule. Let's do the session. We did the session. I call her guides. No guides show up, but instantly I moved in time, and I am around the year 1000. I am in North Europe, probably around Scotland or Ireland. There's a hub, very clean, a lot of herbs, a lot of dry herbs. And so I'm shocked, because usually when I do readings, in 99.99%, the guides come to me in variety of shapes and forms, and some of them are consuls, to arrive in the elevator. Some of them just materializing, some of them just popped in, some of them walk very slowly, opening big doors, small doors, whatever. But this one just took me out. And I say, where I am? And I'm looking around, and I see a little wooden bench, and there's a woman, young woman, probably in her 20s, late 20s, and she's crying. the grief that is coming out of her heart is overwhelming. And I recognize that this is the same person who is on my table, but 1,000 years ago, maybe more. And I said, what is the grief? Like what is in your heart? Why are you crying so hard? And she said, the grief is from all the miscarriages that she had. So that's the woman 1,000 years ago. She also is acting as a midwife, and some of the babies that she delivers also dying. Some are living, some are dying. But every child that dies, it is unbearable emotional pain for her. And she, at that point, have, from what I'm reading, about 5 miscarriages. And she cannot deal with the pain anymore, and she promises herself. So I'm meeting her at the moment when she made that promise to herself that she will never, ever, ever have children.
Wow.
Never in the future. So I asked the client, I said, listen, you have to help me with that. This is you. You have to help me with that. We both going to pray with her. We both going to heal her heart, soothe her pain, and ask her for permission that you now can get pregnant. So we did that. I healed her heart with whatever techniques I knew, and we asked her for permission. And she said, yes, I have a permission, yes. So we thank her, we close her space, we put protective guides around her, and actually, I don't remember right now, but knowing me, we probably asked for a baby right there, because I like to always help everyone, but I don't remember. And this woman who was a client of mine, after trying for a few years, she got pregnant the same week.
Wow, the same week.
Yeah, and I met the baby.
I'm happy that you finally took her.
Yes,
You
so
finally did the reading.
Me too, yeah.
Wow.
I met the baby, and when I met the baby was crying, and then when I approached the baby, it started smiling. It didn't laugh because it was too small, but started smiling, and I saw a bunch of blue butterflies flying.
Oh.
And I was like, are you giving me butterflies? And it was a gift from her, so that was amazing.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. So I don't want to be labeled like someone who can help with, for women to get pregnant, but that's not my domain, but it happened, and I'm very grateful. My domain is more seeing what is the block, why can you not move forward, and seeing what's your life path. Those will be the 2 things. And usually your guides will talk to you, because they talk to you all the time, through the dreams, through synchronicities, through your favorite song and that one line that gives you chills, through your friends. So you get the guidelines, but sometimes you're just not hearing it. So what I do is, when I sit to a session, unless you have a particular, like this lady, if you don't have a particular request, which I always say is better not to have it, because you always looking at your life like this, and that's all you see. You don't see all of that. So you ask the guides to come in and give you the message that you need right now. This can come in like such a surprise, something that you will never in a million years ask or think about it or anything like that. One of the things that is showing up after COVID is books. And the message is like, there was COVID, you were basically on a break for a minimum a year, probably 2 years. Why you didn't write the book yet? So it's the knowledge that needs to come. Yeah, the knowledge that needs to come from the divine through our physical bodies to the collective. So books are important. I have a client who, he's supposed to write a book, and he said, will anyone read that book? Will I sell the book and make money on it? So I asked the guides, and they say no. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? So I said, no, you will not. But then now I am curious, like, so what is the deal? What's happening? What we're working with? And the guide said, and this is so important to all the people who are inspired to write anything, and I don't care if it's poetry or a song or a little mini script or a children's book or serious book or whatever is it. This is the secret to it. This is where we are now as a collective. If I write a book, the information from the divine comes through my physical vessel, and I'm putting it on a piece of paper. So the important part is there is a difference between typing it or writing it on a paper with a pen. When you write on a paper with a pen, you are taking that divine information and manifesting it in a physical. Because that piece of paper and something that I can pick it up and read it is physical. If it's in a computer, it's not physical. It's in a computer, it's in a cloud, it's not in physical world. This paper is in the physical world. Just the act of writing that information on a paper automatically downloads it to the human collective. And it happens so quickly right now. This was not possible 20 years ago. In 2020, if you did that, that probably didn't work. But it works now. If you have an idea and you put it on a paper, I have no clue about that idea, but I will wake up tomorrow and that is lingering in my consciousness. That's how it works.
Yeah, I still have a journal. I will have a journal for my entire life where I physically write. I've tried to sometimes write on my computer. It's faster, it's easier, you don't have any physical thing. But there's just something so different about physically writing.
Yeah, it is.
And holding it.
If you are one of the people who journal, journal your dreams.
Mary French gave me a journal book, and I actually stopped doing it for a while. And
Why?
I don't remember my dreams as much. It got to the point where I was remembering so much of my dreams where it would take me like 15 minutes to write it.
That's your conversation with your guides.
Yeah.
That's you traveling in an astral and bringing information to the planet or on a small scale to your personal life. Write it. You have a skill in it. Write it. Yeah. So what you do is you write for a few days or for a month, and then you're looking, here you remember color, here you remember some situation, on another night you remember just a feeling. It makes no sense. But then when you look from a perspective of a month and you read it, and you now go through the 30 days or so, you start seeing that there is a pattern, there is a story. And now you start seeing the bigger picture.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I'll
read
look
your
back.
dreams, yes.
Yeah.
And dreams are also fascinating because they are different levels. Sometimes the dream is so real that you wake up and you can swear that it felt so real.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're conscious that this is just a dream.
Most of my dreams are processing emotions throughout my day. So like I'll have a dream and it's like, oh, I got really frustrated or angry at that person. And then some of my dreams are past lives. And it's crazy, they're so different. And I can tell that there's just something different about this one. So I was falling asleep and then I was aware and I went directly into my living room and it was black. And I remember looking outside the window, I'm getting tingles right now. And I was in the city and I was scared, but I was like, all right, like, what do I need to see right now? Show me. So then all of a sudden I was in the coal mine in this big bucket and I was flying down the coal mine, grabbing onto the walls. I'm like, okay, what information's down here? And I grabbed like gasoline and I grabbed this key and then I stopped and I was so terrified, but I was also so conscious that I knew that there was this fear that I needed to look at and see. So I walk up these steps and there's this huge door and I'm like, I'm ready. I open the door and then it's this room full of people. It's a party and there's a couch. And I sat down on the couch and then I woke up. And so I asked a couple psychics about it. And what came through from them was that I was a slave back in Egypt. And I was really intuitive and knew the tunnels underneath. And someone trapped me down there and I died in those tunnels. And the reason that it came up for me at that time was because the fear of using my intuition was holding me back from this present day.
Oh my God, that's so profound.
Yeah.
I got chills.
It was so intense. So beautiful.
You need to write your dreams and then publish them. You know how many people that will help? People who are like taking dreams for granted or are not sure how to, what to make up out of the dream.
Wow.
So there is a man, he lives on the East Coast. His name is Robert Moss, Moss. And I believe he's Australian. Mm-hmm. And he's, little older now. But he learned about dreams from his friend when he was in Australia, and the friend was Aborigine. And Aborigine people are considered the masters of dreams. Mm-hmm. And he took this knowledge and brought to the United States. He wrote a lot of books. He have workshops. He's amazing. He's genius. And the way he interpreted the dreams are also different than whatever anybody else is doing. He says that when you have a monster that is chasing you through all your dreams, especially if this is a recurring dream, you have to face the monster. And once you face the monster, it turns out that it's nothing scary. Just like you were like, okay, I have the gasoline, I have the whatever matches, whatever that was. Yeah. I'm ready to open the door. Whatever it is, I'm ready.
Yeah.
You open being ready for the worst, and it was a party.
Yeah, fear is scary, but once we have that courage to just go through it, it's so fulfilling.
Yeah. It's paralyzing. It's one of the things that we have as a gift on Earth, because fear doesn't exist out of Earth. Even star people, so they have a physical body, they don't necessarily experience fear. So time, fear, those are things, the gifts of Earth.
Yep, we've come here to experience. Mm-hmm.
Emotion, duality, duality is also very specific to Earth.
Earth experts.
Yeah.
As we wrap this up, is there anything else you want to mention?
For anyone who is just getting awakened or is thinking about what is this, that crazy stuff those people talking about, if you decide to do session with someone, pick somebody you trust. How do you know who you trust? You never met those people. Look at the profile, look at the website, look at their picture. What do you feel when you're looking at the face of that person who is going to be your facilitator or your practitioner? You feel good, you feel warmth at your heart chakra. You feel like you trust that person. When you're looking at the picture, you're looking at the eyes. Do you trust that person? That's the practitioner to choose. If you feel like you're not resonating with that person, then that means that you're really not resonating with the energy of that person, because I know that they're looking at picture, but that picture have an energy. Follow your intuition. There is a lot of practitioners on different levels. Not everybody is for everybody. I cannot help everybody, and I never will claim that I can. We all can help people that somewhat resonate on our frequencies. I love to take classes, I love to take sessions, I love all of that, obviously. Sometimes there will be someone in San Diego and another practitioner of this particular technique, which is maybe not that known, is in Seattle, but I resonate with the one in Seattle. I will talk to the practitioner in Seattle. I will take the trip and go there, because that's the person I need to work with. Pushing yourself in spirituality doesn't exist. There is no overachievers. If you don't feel called to do ayahuasca, if you don't feel called to do whatever, you should not do it, because it's not gonna serve you. It's gonna be most likely bad experience. You have to be called to enter the path. And a question that is extremely often coming up, so I'm just gonna address it. How do I open my third eye? This is all day long. I would like to say a couple of things about that. Opening your third eye is bonding with your soul. So how do you get to it? The best way is to look inside of you and meditate. Even if you're meditating only for 3 minutes, 2 minutes, but you're doing it consistently. So you do it 3 minutes every day for a month. It's gonna be so much more powerful than doing it for 1 hour once a week. So do those little baby steps, but consistently. Look inside of you. And a lot of people says, I don't know how to meditate. I cannot meditate. I cannot focus. Well, I personally have ADHD. I cannot focus either. So how do you do it? You close your eyes in somewhat quiet environment. If it's not quiet, you put very soothing music, soothing for you. And then you inhale, and as you inhale, you focus your hearing on the breath. Because when you're quiet, you hear the breath. You actually hear the air entering. Focus on that sound. And then exhale, focus on that sound. So your job is to only focusing on that sound. That will get you into meditation. Definitely, you can definitely do 2-3 minutes. And then second thing, what you do is physically, you can help yourself by just gently, very gently massaging in a circle the third eye. And you can do it just with your finger. You can do it with little crystal, whatever crystal. It really doesn't matter what crystal you pick. And you can just do that for a few seconds, a minute, and then it's very good to do that before you go to sleep, because you have time. You're not going anywhere. All you need to do is fall asleep, and eventually you get bored with it and you fall asleep. So doing that will also help. Saying that, once you open third eye, your probably is open. How was that experience for you? What do you see different now?
With my third eye, I think my third eye is open, but I don't really know what the difference is.
Mm-hmm. So with me, the third eye being open was obviously violently open during my accident. It was like, we opening everything. Choose either dead or alive. You see things that normally are not visible. I hear this quote once on Instagram, I don't know, on YouTube, and I don't know who said it, so I'm not claiming it, but I really believe it was so accurate that I'm gonna 100% stand behind it. You will see things you don't see normally or you never seen before. Please do not be afraid of it. These things, these beings, this whatever you're gonna see did exist before your third eye was open. They were always around you, and they never ever ever harm you, and they're not going to harm you just because you see them, because they frankly don't care. So whatever you see is okay. So what will you see? Well, starting from things like seeing shadows moving, seeing lights moving. I'm able to see right now, and so is a lot of other people, actual beings. You're able to see energy moving. You're able to see all the way to the third dimension how things work. So you can tell me a story, and I can see behind it how you construct that story. What is behind that story? What is there that you're not telling me?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm not very clairvoyant with actually seeing things, but I'm definitely claircognizant. I just have a sense of knowing, empathy. So I think with my third eye, it is this intuition and this knowledge that like what you just said about what's behind the story.
Yeah.
And the energy of a person, and trusting myself and how I feel and how I want to navigate life. And then also being able to envision my life.
So nurture that. Mm-hmm. And once you nurture that, meaning pay attention to it, practice it as often as you can, and that is gonna grow, and your gift is gonna get more profound. When I was younger, if someone will recognize that, you can hear, you can see, you can feel, whatever, it was usually one gift. I remember I met once someone and they say, "Oh my God, you're so unusual because you feel in every way. You can feel, you can see, you can hear, you have, that is unheard of." And this was only maybe 10 years ago. Right now, so many people have all the faculties open. This is nothing rare right now in the light workers community. If you hardcore third dimension, then yeah, you most likely don't have those abilities. But in the light workers community, and not only that, but after ayahuasca, what opened up for me is the sense of smell. So I can smell the beings. And I have understanding what being that is, and taste. My saliva taste changes if there is a being that is ready to communicate whatever being. I didn't even know that exists, but apparently.
Yeah.
So if you are in a room, as a tip, we all, or a lot of us believes in angels. If you are in a room that there is, like this room, there is no plants, and I will start smelling roses, I know there's an angel around me, which angels are as well star people, and the only one that not only we're not afraid of, we're thrilled when we see them.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
No one's scared of an angel.
No, we welcome them, we love them, those are the ones we accept. Yeah, the rest of, if they have no wings, we don't want to deal with them. We don't know who you are.
Who are you? What are you?
Yeah, they terrify of them. But one thing I want to add is how the beings look like, because I don't think we talked about it. So the first thing I want to say is that they all very peaceful. I choose to work with very high vibrational beings. So higher they are, the more pure and love there is. Mm-hmm. And those beings, I want to identify them that they are from 6th level, but now when we have the more view, we can see that the 6th level is not necessarily that accurate. But what that 6th level in my mind means is all the big masters will be from 6th level, and that's not the last level. There is levels above it and levels and levels. So beings that will be from the level of Buddha, let's say, and other masters. Those beings will have different shapes, different skin colors. Some of them may have a clothing. Do they really have a clothing? Most likely not. But to ease up the person who is on the other line, which will be me or any other channeler, those beings will appear as they are dressed. So they look more like whatever we have right over here. Most of them may have a more masculine or more feminine energy, but there is no really genders for sake. Never seen anyone with hair that I can remember of. So hair is exotic. They beautiful because what you see is you see the love and the light coming from them. Once they start talking, the wisdom that is coming and the purity of the message is, you have no doubt that you are dealing with divine wisdom. Like my brain cannot create that information. Sometimes when I see their face, it's just like it brings tears to my eyes because the beauty is, and it's not the same beauty like we have this supermodel.
Yeah.
We're talking about different beauty, but they absolutely angelically gorgeous. I have once a being that they were not clothed. They have a skin, but the skin was almost like a suit, extremely white, kind of like a plastic white. It had a tiny little pattern on it, and they communicated. I could hear them, I could understand them, but I was puzzled because I was very clearly understanding that the communication is not coming telepathically. I was like, what is happening? And then I realized that they have on their shoulders, colors will change, pastel colors, and I realized that they communicating through changing the colors, and a particular sequence, and it was only 2 colors, particular sequence of those colors will be a whole paragraph of knowledge. That was one of the ones that I was like having tears coming. I was like, oh my God, you are magnificent.
That is so fascinating. I've never heard anything like that. And you just knew, you understood what they were communicating to you? Wow.
But that is because I believe what was happening, I was tuned into their frequency.
Yeah.
And I was going for the telepathic communication. That was the only time I did not communicate telepathically, but still the transition was fluent. Yeah. And when they talk to you, all the other beings, they may come in and say literally like a sentence and wait for you for me to translate, and sentence and translate, all the way to some who come in and just almost, it feels like they have a bucket full of information, they throw it on my head, and I'm like, okay, slow down.
Yeah.
And then I have to transfer this, few paragraphs, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. What else? Or I have a question and they answer. Sometimes the client have a question and I can hear it, and they immediately answer through me.
Wow.
I can hear when the client have a question.
Wow.
Yeah. And then some of them will show pictures. And that's maybe the most difficult, because the picture I have to start interpreting. So then I start maybe speaking a little slower, because picture have there is a lot of things you're looking at.
Yeah. And you have a website, right? I'll link the website below.
I have a website. My website name is subtleenergyfields.com, as on end, because after the accident, I was so fascinated with the bubble of energy that is around you. And in my understanding, the bubble of energy around you impacts any and every part of your physical body. I believe that one of the most powerful healing techniques is sound healing, because sound is delicate enough but strong enough at the same time to move your magnetic field. And then that magnetic field changes whatever is not working in your physical body.